Welcome to Thought Hustle. Evan, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Daniel. Thanks for having me, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this thing. I'm really pumped to have you on. And I know this is probably kind of crazy to you, but some of my listeners, they actually don't know who you are. So would you give us a really brief elevator pitch about who is Evan Carmichael to start us out?
I don't know, man. What would you say?
I would say you are the man, the myth, the legend. He is famous on YouTube. I'm just reading his book right now, Built to Serve, an incredible book. He details exactly how you can build an incredible life, an incredible business. I know that you started when you were a lot younger. You were working on a business with one of your friends. And as you say in your book, the worst day of your life was when you called up your friend and you said, all right, I'm done. I quit. And that was one of the hardest days of your life. And after that, everything changed for you. So you're a man, you've come from pain to a place of enjoyment, success, and fulfillment ultimately. So you're someone that I truly look up to. And it's important for me that my listeners know that as we start out this interview, that this is a big deal for me and for everyone listening, that Evan's taken the time to share with us a little bit of himself. How'd I do?
That's cool, man. It's, you know what? The most important part of any intro is just that it's from the heart. You know, I think a lot of people I've been on all day. Thursdays are my public facing day, just nonstop kind of interviews and podcasts. And the amount of people who just read off the bio, like, well, it's the same bio that everybody else gets. What's way more interesting is like, what do you want? Like, if you don't say how many subscribers I have or whatever award, I don't really care. What's most interesting is, well, hopefully you're bringing people on that you actually care about. And seeing how they resonate with you is a lot more meaningful to say, hey, you're really important to me because of X, because of the book or because of the channel, because right. It's a much better intro and makes me feel better than reading the standard kind of boring one. So I love it, man. That was great. You did an awesome job.
Well, I'm sure that you could tell that I was kind of spitballing it there, but yeah, let's just jump right into it. It's like you said, I am here because there are a lot of things that I want to ask you, and I know that we have a limited amount of time. So I want to start out by asking you that, and starting out by saying that there are a couple of individuals out there, and I'm just going to have to edit that out. All right. I'm sorry, okay. Evan. I apologize.
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right. To start out, I know that when you first started out, you were doing something and you realized this isn't for me. This isn't what I should be doing. I feel as if that's something that I'm struggling with now. Currently, I'm working a job and I'm working in real estate. I love both of the things that I do, but how do you know when to stick with something and when to quit something?
What, do you actually love real estate?
I do. I love it. I love running the numbers. I love calling leads. I love working through everything with it. I love everything about it.
And what's the other thing?
My job. I currently work at a mortgage company, but it's kind of falling apart around me. So,
and do you love that?
It's all right. It's not my favorite thing.
You don't love it. Okay, so why not just do real estate?
Well, because I don't know if I could financially support myself in doing that.
Well, of course you could. Do you have enough
at this
models?
Point in time?
Right. So, but then you work towards it, right? So if you're going to have a job, the most important part of a job is that you're learning something, right? That it's a paycheck, yes, to support yourself, but you're learning something to get better at a skill that leads you to a happier place, whether that's starting your own business or just career progression, but that you're learning something. So if your ultimate goal is to be in real estate and whatever that, if you're an investor, if you're an agent, if whatever role, developer you're going to play in real estate, then what is the skill set that you need to develop? Like you can't make enough from real estate yet to support yourself. Cool. But you can get there. Lots of people have done it. What are the missing skills that you need to learn to be able to get there? If it's better salesmanship on the phone, better contacts, better understanding of how to evaluate a property, better dealing with tenants, like whatever the skill set you feel like, okay, I mean, I love it. I'm willing to learn and hustle my way through this. But I'm not good enough at these things yet. Awesome. Those are skills that you can acquire and get paid to acquire them. So the immediate thing should be, okay, I should be looking for a way out of my mortgage company and looking for a way into a job inside of real estate that I'm going to get the experience that I need so that I can ultimately, wherever you want to go, like go work for the person who's doing the thing that you want to do. So you're getting paid to get the experience you need and the skills that you need to level yourself up. And that's doable. Like you could trade your crappy job, and maybe not crappy job, but okay job. Like good is the enemy of great. So if you have a good job, if you were sitting there cleaning toilets, you would look for a way out, man. It's like, I'm done with this. I need to leave this job. But if you're just in a good job, it's like, it's good. It doesn't fill my heart, but it's good. It pays the bills. It's good. It's really, that becomes the game of like, how do you force yourself into the discomfort to go chase down great? So good is the enemy of great, but that should be your next step. If you love real estate so much, then go find a job that will pay the bills, but also teach you the skills so that in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, 3 months, I don't know, however quickly you can pick things up, it allows you to leapfrog into the business that you want to be in.
Yeah. So really, I should be looking for a job in that realm. And I know that a lot of people, they kind of have that same concern. Those who are listening, they want to do something, but they're worried that they don't. And I guess the next thing that I want to segue into is is there any way to know if you'll actually end up being successful in that? Because I'm a big risk taker. I'm not really afraid. I bought my first property in February. I just bought my second one last month, and I'm working on it now. And I have a couple others that I plan to buy. But is there ever a way to guarantee that you're going to end up finding success?
Well, if you're a risk taker, then quit your job today and go look for another one. Like if you actually are a risk taker, then boom, and go do it. I'm not a risk taker. I'm very risk adverse. But I think the riskiest thing of all time for you is staying in a mortgage company job that you don't like. That's the riskiest thing of all. So what happens if you quit your job and you go find another job that pays you about the same, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, at a real estate company? You're going to find out if you like that thing or not. Right. And maybe you love it and holy cow, this is my next career. Or maybe you find out once you're in it, you know what? Like this actually kind of sucks. I don't want this life. But at least compared to sitting on the other side, being on the mortgage side and never actually knowing. So the only way to know is by doing it. You can't think your way through this. I use sushi as an example. Like, how do you know if you like sushi or not? Well, you got to try it. Because it to me, to like a half Italian, half Canadian person, it sounds gross, right? It's raw fish with seaweed and rice and fish eggs and super spicy mustard and soy sauce all together. And you like that? It sounds nasty. But until you try it, you don't know. So that's the way through. If it's me, and for most people, I think it's minimize the risk in doing it. If it's someone like you and you say you love risk, what are you waiting for? Quit on the air. Quit live right now. Call up your boss and say, I'm done. I'm going to go find another job.
I feel like there's different levels of risk though. There's like your high end risk and then you have your low end risk. I feel like you might be on the low end. I think I'm near the top, the high part, but I think you're right. I think you're totally right. My issue is that I haven't been working hard enough towards that point where I'm ready, where I just quit and I find that other job. So I guess that is what I'm working towards. And I really appreciate you saying that. Just
go find another job first, right? Like just go apply for another job. And it's just a job. There's lots of jobs out there, especially in this market. So just go find your other job first. That's what I would do. Go find the other job first and then quit on the first company.
Maybe I don't love risk quite as much as I say.
Yeah, maybe not, but whatever. That's decent self-awareness too. But that can happen in the next month, right? Like how long you been thinking about real estate versus mortgage?
Probably for 3 years. When I was in college, I realized I didn't want to work a 9 to 5
that's
forever,
ridiculous.
and I worked into it. I kind of gave myself the golden handcuffs, so to speak. They're not too golden, but
you can. No, they're not. It's just an okay job. It's not golden handcuffs. And so now this is where, and sometimes having outside perspective helps, right? I mean, it can be hard when you're in it. It's easy to give advice to somebody else and hard to see it for yourself sometimes, right? So, and kudos for you for even bringing it up and sharing your story and not just asking me the usual questions I get asked on.
Well, that was my plan, actually. I think the audience would learn the best from something live like this. So
you've been doing it you've been thinking about this for 3 years. Great. In the next month, you could have this sorted out. That's the target. A month from today, you have a job inside of real estate. And there's lots of different branches inside of real estate. So like, which is the one that will win? I don't know. But that becomes the rest of this year, is trying to figure out what part of real estate do you really want to do, and be able to move away from the mortgage job. And you can find other jobs that will pay you around the same, a little bit more, a little bit less, but the money isn't the reason to take the job. It's to learn the skill and to understand if this is the thing that you want to be doing for the rest of your life or not.
Yeah. Wow. And before I'm getting really, really excited as we talk. And before I get to a point where I just forget that I'm even speaking to an audience, I mean, it really is just me and you. But for the listeners, as I'm going through this, I want you to be putting yourself in my shoes and asking yourselves these exact same things. And I know a lot of you listening, you're stuck in jobs, you're doing things that you hate, and you've been doing them for who knows how long. And I don't hate it. That's overkill.
No, but that's the problem. The problem is you don't hate it. If you hated it, if you were cleaning toilets, you'd be
that's
out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have moved on. Like, that's actually the problem. Is just good.
Yeah,
and
just
you
good.
have the extra blessing, which you should be grateful for, of what you want to jump to next. A lot of people listening know that they don't like their job, but they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
At least you know where you want to go, roughly. I mean, real estate is still a pretty big field, but you know roughly. It's not like, I don't know, it could be anything. I'm going to go back to school and learn some skill. I don't know. Maybe I'll be an accountant. Like, you want to be in real estate. So
yeah, I know I want to be investing in properties. I want to be buying them. Like, yeah. I just need to get into that field to kind of get
what
to that
city
point.
Are you in?
I am in upstate New York.
Okay, great. Like, would you travel to Manhattan? How far is that for you?
I'm not sure. Probably 3 or 4 hours.
Okay. Well, that's not the end of the world. It's great. Like, there's New York real estate is insane. And there's lots of people doing it. And there's lots of opportunities. So whether you're going to be, ideally, the thing to do is to find somebody who is on the outside, at least, doing the thing that you would like to be doing in 5 to 10 years. So if it's real estate investing, then the goal is not to work as a real estate agent under another agency. So go find a real estate investor and say, hey, I would love to work for you. I love real estate. I'm a hustler. I have a show called, Thought Hustle.
Hustle.
and honestly, I would even use this show. You can use this show to interview people. Turn this into interviewing real estate investors. And even let them know about your plan. And somebody will take you on and say, you know what? I like this guy.
Eventually someone will say they like me. It might take a while though.
How about you help me do X? And then you get a little project that you then have to go and crush. Yeah. And then you crush the little project, and then they bring you back to do more and more and more with them. So you find the person who's doing what you want to be doing in 5 to 10 years. And then you try to get it's the best training because you get to work closely to them. Find somebody who's got 5 to 20 people on their team. It's still small enough that you get to work as close to the person as possible. And then you get a sense of, you're going to learn so much more. And you also get a sense of, do you want that life? Like, do I want to be like this person in 5 years? Like,
is that really what I want? Yeah.
Or like, I didn't think that was it.
Not at all what I want to do. Yeah.
But you won't know until you get in and actually start doing it.
Yeah, until you really get into it. Now,
if you went hard on it, like the next month, you could be doing this.
Yeah, and that's a really exciting thing, a really exciting thought for me. The idea that I really could do that, and there's really nothing holding me back except for I'm not taking that action. So I really appreciate you talking about this.
Listen, how did we even get this interview set up? What happened? What was the process?
I just DM'd you on Instagram. I was like, hey,
okay, but what did you say? Because tons of people DM me on Instagram.
You're calling me out. I don't actually specifically remember what I said.
Okay, but it's worth looking at because there was, I didn't know you before this. You knew me, I guess. You bought the book, awesome. But this is more credit to you. There was something in what you wrote that made me think, I don't know, I like this guy. Like, why pick you over somebody else today? Right?
Yeah.
Because most people get a no. And it goes to my friends first. Like, if I knew you, we've been friends, it'd be easy. It's a like guaranteed yes. But for strangers who I don't know, it's totally off a vibe. Like, I guarantee you, we didn't write back and say, "Hey, Daniel, how many followers do you have? How many people listen to each of your shows?" There was no metrics questions coming back from me. If it was from my team, then that should not be happening either. But so this is something about the vibe. There's something I like about Daniel and the energy he's showing up with. So it's a credit to you. Like, there's an energy that you've got that's probably not in the mortgage business. You're doing it to show up and to get your paycheck, whatever. But when you actually have the energy and care, like, you can get, I'm here, you're getting results already with this. Now just pour that into real estate. And most people do just enough work to not get fired. That's what you're doing at the mortgage company, right? You're doing just enough work to not get fired. You're not exceptional, you know.
Why you got to call me out like that, Evan? But no, you're right. And it's because I'm not passionate about it.
Exactly. But so think about the real estate business you want to get into. If you're going to go, what's your ideal scenario? Go get mentored by somebody who's 5 or 10 years ahead of you, right? Who's got 5 to 20 employees and building up a real estate investment company. Perfect. Most of the people on his or her team are also doing just enough to not get fired. Right? Like their own team, most of them are doing just enough. And then in comes Daniel with fire and energy and enthusiasm and gumption and like hustle. You're going to stand out. It's not that difficult to stand out as an employee.
Yeah, you stand out when you love what you do. Yeah.
Dude, and to get somebody to say yes to you and give you a small shot, like, you're not coming in and saying, I need 400K a year and all this. Like, just give me a shot to do something. Because their own employees are not putting in as much heart, effort, hustle as this guy who's sending me a DM on Instagram.
Oh, I'll hustle anyone. Yeah. And I looked up what I sent you, and I just want to read this to everyone because you are right. When I'm kind of in my zone, I think it's more real, and I have lost that passion. I didn't even realize, but I said, "Hi, Evan, I'm looking for an introverted, built to serve kind of guy to bring onto my podcast." And then I just went on to what I do. Catering to younger entrepreneurs. And you're right, I made it a little personal. I spoke to who you were, who I felt that you were, and I was excited to message you. So yeah, I definitely see that passion kind of coming through.
So you get a list of 100 people over the next 3 days, and you reach out to them. You DM them through Instagram. You call them and leave a message if they have a website and a phone number. You send emails, like however you can find their contact info. You reach out to 100 people, and you'll get 10 who write back. And you have a conversation with, and then you start doing something with. And then in a month, you're out of your mortgage company working for somebody else.
Yeah. So I really just have to go all in on it and, start actually taking the time to build this kind of thing around myself.
Well, but the thing is, you've been wanting to do it for 3 years. This is the thing, right? Like, it's 3 days of research to find a list of 100 people. So it's not really like you have to go all in for 3 years or something. It's like, dude, it's 3 days of research.
Yeah, I could find what I want in 3 years.
You got the weekend coming up.
Right?
Like, I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but it should now be finding real estate investors in the New York area. It's like, it's not a giant ask. And then to send off 100 DMs or emails, that's also not an insane amount of like going all in.
No,
work.
Not at all.
Pretty easy.
I will just say this for those listening. It was 3 years me figuring out what my passion and fire was. Before that, it was me working to find my passion and fire. And it took me 2 years before I actually realized what I loved, and me trying so many different things. But I mean, my listeners already know that. But yeah, I mean, you're totally right. In 3 days, I could basically make what I've realized is my passion and fire my full-time job and gig.
Yeah,
I would love.
Just, you could have a lot more momentum towards actually building your dream in the next 3 days. Like, we're recording this on a Thursday, so by the end of the weekend, you could have more momentum built towards this dream of yours than you've done in the past, however, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy to think about. Yeah. And that's really, really exciting. I appreciate you.
Well, dude, and it's great that you figured it out. I mean, again, you had the courage to ask the question and open up and say, hey, here's what I am. Tell me what to do. Right. Most people don't do that, especially publicly. And to have to do it so young. Like, most people in their 40s, in their 50s, still haven't figured their stuff out. Like, your parents probably hate their jobs. I don't know your parents, but most people's parents hate their jobs. Like, no, most people wake up and drive to a job that they hate. That's most people. And they never had the courage to just say, hey, you know what? If I put in 3 days of work and email 100 people, maybe I can change where I'm at right now.
Let me ask you this. Ever since you started YouTube, have you been doing what you love?
YouTube is not what I love. Helping entrepreneurs is what I love.
Yeah, helping others to believe. Yeah.
And specifically entrepreneurs. Like I mean, I love anybody who, like, for you, you're looking for a job, and I'm happy to help. It's like, oh my God, I want to start my own business. That gets me fired up even more. But YouTube just happens to be the best place that I think in this year to be able to get a message out to the world. I think your purpose comes from your pain. So I think whatever you struggled the most with, I mean, it's in Built to Serve. That's what you want to help other people through. And so 19-year-old Evan in his first business, struggling to believe in himself, quit on his partner, like you mentioned in the intro. That's who I'm still making my content for. This interview is still for him. And luckily I didn't quit, and I got back the next day, and still, like, if I quit, holy cow, if I actually quit and didn't go back the next day, I'd be you, dude. I'd be like in the mortgage company that I hate, except I'd be 41 years old and still hating my life, instead of actually you who's going to go spend the next 3 days and do something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really excited to kind of realize this now as opposed to when I'm 30 or 40. But yeah, I really appreciate that time and you kind of helping me to get there. And yeah, this has been huge for me. And I know that we're kind of running up against our time frame that we have. So before we go, I do usually have 4 questions I ask everyone. I'm just going to ask you one, though. What is one thing that you would challenge the listeners to do to make a positive impact in their lives?
Do the same exercise Daniel just went through. Like, find the thing that is just good in your life. Think about the dream that you've got for yourself. And it's okay if the dream changes. It's okay if you're not quite sure on the dream. I mean, Daniel mentioned it took him 2 years of kind of figuring stuff out and trying stuff before identifying. That's okay, especially when you're young. You don't really know what you want to do, and your job is to go off and explore and try a whole bunch of things. But there's nothing worse than having this kind of burning idea of like, man, I wish I could be doing X, but instead I'm stuck doing Y. Staying stuck doing Y will never fix your life. X may not be the thing. Maybe it's Z, maybe it's A, maybe it's G or D, but staying here is not going to be the answer for sure. And so I think to one of your other questions, like, how do you know for sure? Well, you don't know for sure, but you know what I know for sure? Staying in Y sucks. And staying in Y will always suck. And it's only going to get worse. Like, if you think the mortgage company sucks now, imagine I'm 41. Imagine being an old man at 41, still being in the same mortgage job.
Well, that's depressing.
you would hate your life.
Yeah.
Right. So like, staying stuck is not the answer, but we're afraid to go do the next step. So the push for everybody is, hey, if you feel like you're stuck somewhere, spend the next 3 days with Daniel too, and go do the research and make the connections so that you can end up in a different spot.
Yeah, take 3 years to change the next 30 years of your life, to simplify it, or even maybe the next 60 years of your life. Yeah, that time can completely transform everything about you the rest of your life, without a doubt. So I know that we're drawing up against our time frame that we have. I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak to me, coach me on my podcast, Evan.
Cool, man. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the energy. Thank you for reaching out. And I had fun, and hopefully it helps your audience too.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.